Today, we're diving into a pretty insidious form of psychological manipulation. It's so tricky because it doesn't use threats or fear. Instead, it weaponizes the very best parts of us. Our kindness, our empathy, our basic human need to connect. It's a tactic that shows up looking like a gift. So, you know that feeling, right? That weird mix of gratitude but also anxiety? That's not you being paranoid. It's your gut screaming that something that looks like a gift feels a lot more like a leash. That's a huge signal that the power balance has just shifted. It's probably the very first clue that you've been handed a gift with some very serious, hidden strings attached. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to break it down. We're going to walk through this in 6 parts. We'll start with that kindness paradox, define what this Trojan horse really is, look at the 3 stages of how it works, dig into the psychology, and then, most importantly, talk about how to build up your defenses and refuse the whole deal. All right, so let's really dig into that first feeling. That pit in your stomach when someone you barely know does something huge for you. Again, this isn't you being paranoid. It's your gut picking up on a power shift. A huge, out-of-the-blue gesture. It's like they've just tilted the entire playing field in their favor. All of a sudden, you're in debt. A debt you never asked for. And the worst part? You have no idea what the repayment terms are going to be. So, what is this thing, really? It's not just some awkward social moment, It's a calculated move, it's a strategy. So let's put a name and a clear definition to it, because once you understand what they're actually doing, that's when you can start to counter it. Here we go. And look, the key words here are disproportionately large. This is so important. We're not talking about someone buying you a coffee. We're talking about a gesture that's so big, so over the top, that it's designed to just overwhelm you. It's meant to blow right past your normal, hey, wait a minute, filters, and create this instant, massive feeling that you owe them, big time. And this thing shows up in a few classic ways, right? First, you've got the grand gesture. Think a crazy expensive gift that there's no way you could ever match. Boom, instant debt. Then there's what's called feigned vulnerability. This is when someone tells you a super deep, personal secret way too soon. It's a trick, a shortcut to make you feel special so you'll share your own secrets back. And finally, the over-the-top favor. They solve some massive problem for you that you never even asked them to. Now you feel like you owe them everything. And this table just lays bare the total deception. It's like you're playing 2 completely different games. On your side, you think you're building a real connection. You see kindness, maybe even the start of a great friendship. But on their side, it's a completely different playbook. They're not looking for a friend. They're looking for information, for leverage, for a way to control things later. You think you're building a bond, but they're building a case file on you. Okay, so how do they actually pull this off? Well, it's not random. It's a system, a step-by-step process. Let's peel back the layers and look at the actual blueprint they use to get past your defenses and really get inside your head. It happens in 3 stages. First, they bypass your defenses with that unsolicited, nice gesture, something that's just really hard to say no to. Second, that gesture immediately creates a sense of debt. You feel like you have to reciprocate. And third, once you feel indebted, your guard is down. And that's when they make their move. Intelligence extraction. They start mining you for information. This is where you pay the real price for that so-called gift. So let's really look at step 1. This is the genius of it. They use your own goodness against you. Think about it. We're all raised to be polite, right? To say thank you, to accept a gift graciously. Saying no to a big favor just feels wrong. It feels rude. And they know that. They are literally counting on you being a good, polite person. So you'll accept their gift and drop your guard right from the get-go. And that leads us right into the engine of step 2, creating debt. This whole thing runs on a powerful piece of human psychology called the reciprocity principle. It's that nagging feeling, I owe you one. And it's not just a passing thought, it's a deeply uncomfortable feeling. It creates this tension inside us that we're basically hardwired to want to fix. We want to even the score. But the manipulator, their whole goal is to keep that debt on the books. Like an IOU they can cash in whenever they want. And now, stage 3. This is the whole point of the exercise. If that grand gesture was the giant wooden horse left at your gates, this is the army hiding inside. Because once you're feeling indebted, feeling like you trust them, your guard is totally down. And you start talking. You share your fears, your dreams, your secrets. You think you're bonding, but you're not. You're giving them intelligence, ammunition. All of it gets filed away to be used against you later. Okay, so we've seen how it works. But now let's get into the why. Why is this tactic so ridiculously effective? Why does it just blow past our common sense? To get that, we need to look at what's going on inside the head of both the manipulator and the person they're targeting. So yeah, how can a simple act of kindness just shut down our rational brain? Well, it all comes down to a total mismatch in motivation. It's completely asymmetrical. Like I said before, one person is playing a high-stakes game of chess, and the other person thinks they're just having a friendly chat. There's what drives the manipulator, and then there's what makes the target so vulnerable. And this chart really spells it out. Look at the manipulator side. It's all about low-cost, high-leverage access. For them, that gift is just a cheap investment to get inside your head. They're hacking a social norm for their own benefit. But then look at the target side. You're caught in what's called the empathy trap. You're just being a decent human. You're wired to reward kindness with trust. The gesture is so big it overwhelms you, and you basically short-circuit into something called cognitive collapse. And let's be clear about cognitive collapse, because it's the key. This is that exact moment when the emotional punch of the gift is so strong that it just hijacks your logical brain. It's like a circuit breaker flips. All your critical thinking just goes offline. You stop asking questions and start basking in this feeling of being special, of being chosen. And all those little red flags screaming, this is too much, too soon, you don't even see them anymore. Okay, we've taken the whole thing apart. We've seen how it works. Now, for the most important part, let's talk about building your defenses. We're moving from just understanding the problem to actually doing something about it. This isn't about being paranoid or building walls around yourself. It's about being smart and strategic. And it all starts with a mindset shift. The key here is what you could call radical skepticism. Now, that doesn't mean you become a cynical jerk who trusts no one, not at all. It just means you become a smart auditor of the emotional deals happening around you. You just apply a healthy dose of, let me think about this, to any huge, out-of-the-blue act of kindness, especially if it's from someone new in your life. So, how do you put that mindset into practice? With a simple 3-step protocol. Number 1, audit the gesture. Number 2, neutralize the debt. And number 3, enforce your boundaries. Let's walk through what each of those actually means. Step 1 is all about hitting the pause button. That's it. Before you get all swept up in the moment and say yes, you just stop. And you ask yourself this one critical question. By asking this, you force yourself to switch from your emotional brain, the one saying, wow, this is amazing, back to your logical brain, the one that asks, okay, what's the catch? That simple pause changes everything. It brings your critical thinking back online. Okay, but what if you can't refuse? Sometimes it would just be too awkward. That's when you move to step 2, neutralize the debt. And you do it immediately. Don't let that I owe you feeling hang in the air. If they buy you a fancy dinner, you insist on getting the drinks or a really generous tip. They give you a gift, you find a way to give them something of similar value right back. What you're doing is closing the loop. You're settling the account before they can use it against you. Poof, their leverage is gone. And finally, step 3, and this is a big one. No matter how close you feel to this person after their big gesture, you have to lock down your informational boundaries. You have to remember, real trust is earned, not bought. It's built slowly, over time, with lots of small back and forth actions. It is never, ever bought with one big favor. Your secrets, your fears, your private life, that is not currency for you to repay a debt. So we've gone through the problem, the mechanism, and the defense. Now let's boil it all down to the one key idea, the absolute core principle that lets you break this thing's power over you. This right here, this is everything. If you remember one thing, remember this. The real danger is never the thing you can see coming. It's the one that's disguised as something you feel like you have to accept. It's the hidden liability. And just getting that's the key that unlocks the whole trap. So let's recap. First, remember that the emotional Trojan horse is never just a gift. It's a calculated move designed to get them deep access. That nice gesture isn't kindness. It's a key, custom made to unlock your psychological defenses by triggering that powerful feeling of reciprocity. And that feeling of being in their debt, that's what they're really after, because that feeling is what grants them access. Access for intelligence extraction, access directly into your mind. It's how they plant their hidden army, all your vulnerabilities, right inside your walls, to be used against you later. But here's the thing. This whole sophisticated system has a fatal flaw. It only works in the dark. It relies on you not knowing what's happening. The second you become aware, the loop breaks. By simply auditing the gesture and neutralizing that debt, you refuse to sign for the hidden liability. You stop the infiltration before it even starts. The gates to your mind stay closed. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Look around at your own life. Which gifts that you've received actually came with a hidden price tag? Just remember, the power is yours. You dismantle the entire Trojan horse the moment you see its hidden cost and refuse to pay it. Because real kindness sets you free. This kind of kindness only puts you in chains. Once you see that difference, you become immune.